Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Jorge Perez from Wutan Shaolin Kung Fu. Today we have a special interview with Master Vincent Mei. I broke down this interview in three different parts, so please make sure to check all of them. Master Vincent Mei is from the Tan generation and is a disciple of Master Chen Ling. He's currently managing and teaching at the Wutan, New Jersey, in New York. If you want to know more about Master Vincent Mei, stay with me and let's get to it. Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Jorge Perez here from Wutan Shaolin Kung Fu. I'm here with Master Vincent Mei, and thank you very much, Master Vincent, for letting me be in your house and doing this interview. I think it's gonna be great.
This is live Bajishu.
Live Pachisu here in his house.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
No, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you've been working very hard on this channel. I think everyone has seen it.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because it's something that I do for nothing pretty much, but I'm learning a lot from everybody in the that is contributing to the channel, and I really appreciate that as well. So I want to start the interview asking about you and see if you can introduce yourself and let us know where were you born and
Yeah.
what is your profession and all that.
Okay. Well, my name is Vincent Mei, and I was born in Manila, Philippines, because during in the 70s, my parents met in Philippines. My dad was doing business there, and my mother's side was overseas Chinese who lives in the Chinatown of Manila. And they met, and I was born in the Philippines, and then I grew up in Taiwan. And I grew up in Taiwan till middle school. Then I came to New Jersey for high school, New York for college, and
Middle
then
school, probably 12 years old,
yeah,
roughly.
12 to 30, 13, yeah,
Okay.
12 or 13, middle school, eighth grade, and yeah, didn't know any English. Yeah, and then been working in New York all the way till now, having family and all that stuff, and been here for a long time. Yeah,
When did you move to US?
91, 1991. Yeah,
Okay, and you were again 13 years
yeah,
old
13
probably.
years old. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And when did you start practicing Kung Fu?
I met Master Chen right before, around the first year I got into college. So it was, so I graduated in 95, then about 96, I met Master Chen.
Okay,
Yeah,
and that's when you started practicing with him.
yes.
Did you practice any other martial arts before?
Very little. I did a very little bit of Muay Thai,
Okay,
high school during the summer, and that's about it.
in US, right?
In the
You
U.S.,
were
in the
already in
U.S. And then
US.
when I was a kid, did some like Taekwondo stuff, but that wasn't nearly serious. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And we didn't talk about your profession. You graduated here in US and all that?
Yeah, I was a computer graphics major in the 90s when, the Terminator 2 or the Jurassic Park, not Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, the original one that came out, and all the video game, the 3D game, everybody was like fascinated by computer graphics. So that's my pursuit of career. But then
Okay.
afterwards, after graduated, I got into marketing and advertising, and then I worked in the industry for many years. And in 2006, I started a company, my own company, doing digital marketing
Okay.
and advertising. Ever since till now, we've been about 15 operating for about 15 years till now. Yeah.
It's your own company.
Yeah, my own company. Yeah.
Awesome. That's very interesting. Um, so, can you talk a little bit about your master? Who was him, and that line of succession?
Yeah.
especially from the Wutan lineage.
Yeah, of course. Master Chen, Chen Changlin, he was he was a very unique person. I mean, too bad he passed away when he was only 51 years old. So he was considered the Grandmaster Liu's Wu generation. Wutan Guanghui Zao Yao Huan Yu. All right, so they're all the characters. So Master Chen was the second to last of the Wu generation. Some people may say he's the first of the Wu generation because that's the first generation when Wutan established.
Okay.
So prior to that, it's just easy for everybody to say. So everyone that's in that generation, everybody just say, okay, those are all Wu generation. But then a lot of the older my Shibo, they're all, basically based under Grandmaster Liu Yunqiao prior to the establishment of Wutan. Okay. So they don't fall under the generation characters. Okay. So they're a pre-Wu generation. But now for easy to, just to call people in generation, so my Master Chen was the second to last, right before Master Ji Zhaohua. Okay. So Master Ji Zhaohua is basically Grandmaster Liu's Wu generation closed door disciple, and Master Chen was right before him. Okay. And Master Chen has a very unique character background. His father was also, as many of you knows, that Grandmaster Liu was in the Secret Service, and he was the presidential bodyguard trainer. Master Chen's father also worked in the foreign affairs and also in sort of the equivalent of the CIA, sort of in Taiwan.
Your Shifu?
My Shifu's father.
Oh, your Shifu father.
So so Master Chen's father and Grandmaster Liu, they were colleagues. Okay. So they had that layer of the family sort of a relationship. Mm-hmm. So I have photos of the parents and Grandmaster Liu and Grandma Liu. Mm-hmm. They were together. So Master Chen pretty much grew up around the household. Okay. So he had that sort of a special background, that special layer of relationship, and Grandmaster Liu always treated him as a son. Yeah. And he's also young, so he practiced amongst a lot of the older generation of the Tan generation, I call them Shixiong, but they are way older than me, way more senior than me. But just by the generation, that's how it's being categorized. So Master Chen is kind of a goody two shoes type of person, very squared. Everything go by the book, very traditional. He's very conservative and very kind, very, very kind. He was a computer graphics major, computer science major. Okay. I'm a computer graphics major. He's science. So computer science major, and he's also claimed he's a scientist himself. Okay. So he always analyzed martial art using the science aspect of it. He always likes to translate. Obviously, English is not his first language, so he always loves to translate martial art documentations into English just for the sake of having that extra layer of thinking. Because when you try to translate something, you grew up with a lot of terminologies in Chinese, but when you try to translate something into English, you would further break things down. So he always, as an example, he always break things down into sort of a very scientific angle. So, so that's his way of thinking. And then in 1981, he came to the States to pursue his PhD in New York to study, to get the PhD degree in computer science. So that's when he was granted by Grandmaster Liu to start at Wutang, New York. Okay. Wutang with a G at the time. So Wutang, New York on the Northern Boulevard in Flushing, New York. So that's where he started his first branch of New York.
That was
81.
81, okay.
And that was the third, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but that was the third overseas Wutan that was established.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think the first one was LA.
Okay.
Second one was Malaysia. and the third one was New York.
Okay.
Maybe Boston was third, but I wasn't sure if it was called Wutan or Jianxiong Institute.
Okay.
Yeah, by Shibo Liang Jitsi.
Who passed away, right?
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah,
I
just
think.
last year. Time flies.
Yeah, time flies. We went to the funeral. Me and my cousin Louis.
Yeah.
Okay, and so he became a disciple from Grandmaster Liu Yunqiao.
Yeah.
And that was in what year again, before coming to US?
Oh,
Roughly?
in the 70s, mid 70s.
Mid 70s?
Mid to late 70s.
Mid
Yeah.
to late,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, I would like you to please share your curriculum, or a summary of those forms related to Wutan that you practice and teach as well.
Yes. Master Chen, he was, I think, like everybody else in Wuhan, they're all Wuchi, right? So they're all martial art crazy. So ever since childhood, they have been learning from whoever they can. Mm-hmm. According to Master Chen, he's been learning from even from a street vendor who knows some martial art, and so he just tried to learn. He just loves martial art. But whatever that he learns, he sort of analyzes it, especially obviously under Grandmaster Liu. He analyzed a lot of the forms and stuff. And as I mentioned, he's very traditional. So our curriculum under him would be, we started out from long fist, right? Long fist, from the tan tui to gong li quan, to like all that category of long fist, northern long fist.
Who taught long fist in the Wutan? Was it Master Adam Su?
Adam Su, yes. Shibo Adam Su, but that lineage came from Grandmaster Han Qingtang.
Correct.
Right, so everything within Wutan that is categorized as 长拳系统, 长拳 system, can be considered came from the Han Qingtang. 大师, yep. And then Shibo Adam Su, he was a disciple of Grandmaster Han Qingtang, so he brought a lot of these material into Wutan.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we started out with Changquan, and then we get into some praying mantis, some Tai Chi, some weapons, basically a Mi Zhongquan, basically a lot of things, and Da Baji as well. Da Baji is the only material that gets seeded out into before Bai Shi. And then other than that, no Ba Gua Zhang yet.
No Ba Gua,
So
okay.
basically everything else except for more serious Baji Chuan training and Ba Gua Zhang.
And Piqua?
And Pigua was also later.
Okay.
Yeah. But what's interesting is that when I say Baji Chuan is not included, but everything had Baji Chuan seated in there since day one. And that's also how I teach. As you know, in Baji Shu, that's like since lesson one,
the basics,
the grinding steps, and those are always considered as more advanced stuff. But we start teaching that since day one. That's because of Master Chen.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the way he used to teach it. So I would like you to describe briefly the different styles from Wutan, right? Primarily Pachi, Piqua, and Paqua. How do you describe them?
These are what we consider as core styles. All right, core styles meaning Grandmaster Liu, who is the founder of Wutan, his martial art came from his life story. Like sort of the original curriculum was set up because of his life martial art journey. Right, he started out from Mi Zhongquan, then from Li Shuwen he learns Baji Quan, Baji Pigua, then he met Ding Zichen, then Gong Baotian, then he learned Ba Gua. So that sort of naturally becomes Wutan's curriculum. Baji Quan obviously is a very signature style. But our Baji Quan is quite unique, I would say, because of the influence of Li Shuwen. Especially when he got older. I believe, like, even the way I teach 5 years ago and now are very different. Just my
Yeah.
understanding things is different. So we see Li Shuwen as his early teaching, middle teaching, and as his older teaching. Liu Yinqiao was his older sort of a material teaching.
Okay.
And there's a middle age and an earlier age. Earlier age obviously is say Huo Diange, right? Then the middle age are like the Wei's brothers, for example. He's the middle section. Then Liu Yunqiao is when he's older.
Okay.
So the style kind of evolved a little bit, and most importantly, Wutan's Baji Chuan is very unique, in my opinion, or in our system's opinion, is that it has a very heavy influence by Baguazhang.
Okay. Footwork.
Footwork, the transitions, mostly the transitions to connect everything together. And Baguazhang just serves as that. And Liu Yunqiao Shiye only learned Baguazhang from Gong Baotian for about a year, only 1 year. And I think a lot of people questions and skeptical about, oh, how good can he be if he only learned for 1 year? But keep in mind, I also was very skeptical in the beginning.
Yeah.
But not until I myself practiced for as long as I practiced. The more I practice, the more I'm deeper believing in our Bagua system is complete. Keep in mind that Grandmaster Liu was already very established Baji Chuan practitioner.
Before he started learning
Bagua. So if there's any grandmaster who's looking for a good student, he would be the one. And having that level of leg strength or body integrated ability taught by Li Shuwen, the god of spear himself, he would not, let's say if you're Gong Baotian, you're teaching another really famous master student, you wouldn't be able to teach him anything less advanced. If it's any less advanced, then the master would be like, what the hell? What have you been?
That's a downgrade.
Right. So you kind of have to match. So the way Gong Baotian taught Liu Yunqiao is obviously all out. And Liu Yunqiao obviously was very, very intelligent, and not to mention his already established Gong Li. So he is able to absorb Baguazhang like no others can. Right? You can almost say that no others can. When I say no others can, in the history of Chinese martial art, not a lot of people had that kind of experience. And he's a unique individual. So ever since he was 19 years old, 20 years old, he learned Baguazhang. 40 to 50 years, or maybe longer than that, all the way until he passed away. He's been very heavily focused on Baguazhang and treated as a very high-level martial art, and he loves it.
Okay.
And those of you who've seen Grandmaster Liu Yunqiao's pictures or videos, he just loved Baguazhang. So you can say that from the day he learned it all the way to, in his early 20s to the time he passed away, he's been really studying Baguazhang. And that really influenced later on when he's in his 60s, 70s, when he established Wutan, start teaching his students. Bagua has a heavy influence in his Baji Chuan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one of the
Then
things...
Pigua. I'm sorry.
And Pigua.
Sorry to cut you off. Pigua. All right. So Pigua is very complementary to Baji Chuan. At Baji Shu, what's really interesting is that we started out with Baji Chuan. Everybody is very stiff, right? So very hard, stumping and all that stuff. And then after 4 months of not touching Baji Chuan, and you're going to go through that too. It's amazing. So once you go through the Piguazhang practice, I would ask you guys to say, okay, so now this week give me Dabaji. And then everyone would be like amazed to see their Dabaji, how it's influenced by Piguazhang. So, which is quite amazing how Baji Pigua, they're completely opposite. From the mechanics to fighting tactics to training method. There's nothing alike. So people have a hard time transitioning from Baji to Pigua. And most coaches that I know all said that their student hates Piguazhang. And I used to hate Piguazhang too. But once you find out what kind of influence, positive influence it can do to Baji Chuan, it's quite amazing that these two styles are drastically different, but yet they so complement each other as well.
Yeah.
So those are the three core styles of Wutan.
I was going to mention that I understand that Grandmaster Liu Yunqiao used to train with Grandmaster Li Suwen at home. So he was basically living in the same house and training every day, like full time.
Yep.
Which is different. So when you said, well, he just learned in 1 year, well, that was with Combatian, but the amount of work that I guess Grandmaster Liu, used to put in every training was not even compared to what we do.
Yeah, because I mean, Li Suwen is a lot of people basically, applause for his martial art, but no one ever talk about his personality because I think by the record he's his personality and the way he act, like the wude aspect is a little lacking. So that's why people never praise for his wude or his martial art ethic.
Yeah.
But his kung fu, no doubt, got a spear, hands down, the best of the best. So when Grandmaster Liu was trained, he was 8 years old, and it was almost abusive. He wrote a book about it, and then also Master Chen also told us about it. It was almost abusive.
Because he was just a kid.
Yeah, he was just a kid, and Li Suwen would use Da Qiang to like adjust his posture and just
Yeah.
literally just thrusting at the kid. So and the mother would obviously be
Can you imagine all those
very
bruises?
right, all the bruises everywhere, and yeah. So the training is real. And Li Suwen throughout his life, he has so many students, but Liu Yunqiao was a special one that not only, like earlier I talked about when he learned Bagua, he was already very special, but he's wealthy too.
Yeah.
He had pretty much everything that's set up for his martial art journey. So he was very wealthy. He was able to pay Li Suwen, who was one of the best at the time, to live at his house to teach him daily, full time. So with paid. So talk about his other disciples. Obviously, Huo Diange also spent a long time with him. I spent some time looking into this, which disciple spent the longest amount of time with Li Suwen. So Huo Diange, and obviously he has his home village and he has his nephew and whatnot, and people learn from him here and there. Everybody is Li Suwen's descendant. Everybody is Li Suwen's disciple. But living with him every day to be like abused by him, and not a lot can say that.
Yeah.
And for 10 years straight. And
That's a long time.
Right. And by the time we're talking about like a 60 something, high 60 years old man, and who's spending a lot of time, 10 years with the 8-year-old boys to going through the teenage year. You can imagine the relationship that's being developed between this Sifu and the disciple, and I think it's very different. And when he was 19, he took him out to meet all his Shishong, like Huo Diange or Zhang Xiangwu, all these Shishong. And then he also, at the same time, he also go challenge other people to test out his skills. And immediately he earned the title of the mighty Shandong mighty king. Shandong Xiao Ba Wang, so he had a title too at 19 years old. And then all his Shishong really like him because his personality is very really, really open, very likable. So they all are very willing to teach him stuff. And they also ask Li Suwen that how come this Xiao Sidi, this little brother, his body looks different from ours? They always had that question. But that's also natural. Like I said before, when someone teaches in different age, different understanding,
Absolutely.
it's very different.
Yeah.
Just the style, not better or worse. It's just different stages in life. Maybe in the middle age, he would be harder.
Yeah.
Or in the younger age, he would go for more fajin. Maybe at the end of his life, he's a little softer. Maybe his personality or temper is a little softer, so he go for more huajin. So that could all be a possibility as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
one of the things that I've been talking in the channel with other personalities from Wutan is that my pretty much my fear about losing these styles in the near future. Um, and I wanted to ask you if do you think that could happen potentially, and if so, how do you think we can prevent that from happening?
Yeah, that's a real concern. At least from my point of view, that's why I think everyone within Wutan, all the coaches, all my 师兄, Chairman Johnson Lin, Lin Zhongxi 大哥, or all the people who are working hard to preserve this martial art, all saw a potential of extinction of the traditional martial art. So I think even from Grandmaster Liu, from his time, he already saw it. At his time, he already see like wushu are being promoted,
Yes.
or people or movies, entertainment from Hong Kong. Like he's already seeing a trend of derailing from the martial art. That's why he started Wutan magazine to promote a medium that people can learn what is the correct or real martial art, traditional martial art. And then later on, he's established a Wutan Martial Arts Center to teach as a school, also with the purpose to preserve martial art. That's why Wutan has Chen Taiji, has Xing Yi Quan, has Tong Bei Quan, has all these other styles that, including Chang Quan, long fist, all for the purpose of preserving good martial art. And even till today, we're still trying very hard to preserve these art. The problem is that it different from boxing or BJJ or Muay Thai or karate. You can basically spend a month or less. You can come home and start using it, or it's very applicable. Martial art requires the body, the mind, the power. Everything has to be working together, so it takes longer time.
Yeah.
So that's why I think we're all trying to concentrate on our teaching. Wutan used to have tons of praying mantis, for example.
Yeah.
But praying mantis is important. It has a big curriculum within the Wutan system. But the headquarters is, for example, the headquarters is trying to cut down on praying mantis because it was later on brought in. It's good material, but we have a priority to preserve the core styles,
Yes.
the Baji, Pigua, Bagua, and Mi Zhongquan. So Baji Su as well. We started Baji Su I'm trying to develop, not saying my system is the best, but we're trying to create something that can be condensed,
Yeah.
right? Because back in the days, martial art is a killing techniques, but nowadays, you're not going to use this to kill anyone.
Yeah.
You would be lucky if you reach to the skill that you can kill somebody,
Yeah.
or make a good damage to somebody. So basically, back in the days, that a Sifu would take his time to really evaluate the student's characteristic, personality, and then select carefully or mold carefully on the student to make sure this person is trustworthy to learn my martial art. Today is different. You can't do that today. This will go extinct very quickly. So we're utilizing internet, right? Using the power of internet. That's the power of our generation. So we should leverage it.
Yes.
A lot of people know me from online, from YouTube or these online teaching.
Yeah.
I get a lot of trash talking too, but whatever. But just to promote the art, at least at the most minimum, we can promote it. Let people see how martial art is, Chinese martial art is, and then Baji Su is to teaching online to reach the widest to every corner in the world. We have students from Romania to the village in Italy. So these are places where you don't have access to Baji Chuan Shifu.
Yeah.
So at least do an introduction, at least pave down the solid groundwork, foundation work, So to introduce the right mindset and concept of traditional Chinese martial art. And then once you have that, however you want to advance and keep learning, that's up to the individuals.
Yeah, it's one of the other things that are kind of taking over in the world of martial arts is mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
And particularly like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's very popular. So everybody watch like UFC and all this MMA fights, and they pretty much want to do, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or MMA.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to compete with that because, like you're saying, this takes longer.
Yeah.
Probably in a couple months, like you said, you can start and learn how to throw a couple punches and kicks, right?
Yeah.
Maybe defend yourself on the ground a little bit, but this is very more complex, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, if there's, it's very complex when you get into sports. Like there's an event promoter, there's a lot of business and marketing side of it, right?
Money.
And money involved and professionalism involved. You have trainer, you have nutritionists, you have an entire team. For example, when you watch tennis, you see one player playing tennis, but there's a whole team around this person.
There's a couple of guys that sit on the crowd, right?
Yes, of course.
His trainer.
So it's a whole team behind that fighter.
Yeah.
If there is a couple $1 million in like pumping into some sort of a traditional martial art system sort of competition, I'm sure we can develop some like really good fighters as well. But obviously, traditional martial art, Chinese martial art is far more wider than just fighting.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot more aspect to it.
And talking about that, the money and the investment that you need or that they put into this MMA and all that, that's something that I've seen personally doing the Chinese government doing with modern wushu.
Yeah.
They've been injecting money to modern wushu, and that's why maybe it's easier to be more popular that way as well.
It's a start, right? So I think there's obviously a flip side of things. The wushu competition with all the money and career, like kids in China, they can study wushu, and then there's an outcome, career outcome to it. So they create a whole system, which is good. But the bad thing is that once you push these athletes to the extreme, they want to push and breakthrough, the standard. Whoever won the gold medal did a double flip. I'm going to do a triple flip.
Yep.
Just like skating, figure skating, just like gymnastic, just like diving. All right. So, so the athlete will push their limit, but then later on it just becomes pushing the limit, and that is why wushu has so far having a hard time getting into the Olympics, because to the committee they're like, okay, so this looked like gymnastic, but gymnastic is more even prettier for an audience to watch, and more audience to watch, that means more money for them.
Yeah.
So no. And then from a competition aspect, they have boxing, they have judo, they have all those like very instant gratification, taekwondo. So
which are more popular too.
Right, you can't really. I mean, there are more and more wushu competition teams from all over the world, like every country, like Iran, like all. Sorry, is it okay? Sorry, this is my dog, and yeah, so there are more wushu team being like starting to compete and rise up around the world, but then it's more or less becoming a sport, and it's lacking of a huge part of what traditional Chinese martial art is, and
definitely.
even the movement, the application, the meaning behind things, the internal aspect of it, the mental aspect of it are all starting to fade out because of that.
Absolutely. Well, that concludes the part 1 of the interview. Please make sure to stay tuned for parts 2 and 3. So thank you very much, Master Vincent Mei.